a little bit because this looks like it's just going, and thank you, Megan's highlighting that county line for me. Appreciate that. And there's Farmington. That's what I wanted to get to. So that rotation is, we were saying either in or north side of town on Farmington, so far north. But remember, this storm has a history of kind of going east and then south. So if I translate that down a little bit this way, kind of the northeast side of town in Farmington,
it's been wobbling almost at times.
It's a good term for it too, yeah. So what's the timing on that?
Let's see, if we extend that, let's just assume it stays on that east-southeast track. So that's still a little over 15 minutes outside of Farmington now and those areas to the east. I just want to remind you, this is a very dangerous storm. It's produced baseball-sized hail. It's ripped roofs off buildings in Potosi, the Lion's Den, as well as the Independent Journal. It's ripped the what do you call it? The hoods off of vehicles at MoDOT around Potosi. So this is a very violent storm. We're on right now. This tornado warning goes until 4:30. If you're a Young and the Restless fan, you can tune in our digital channel at 4.3, which is Charter Channel 181. A very dangerous situation with potential tornado on the ground. This storm has knocked over power lines and trees, and it continues to be a very significant threat for the central portions of St. Francis and St. Genevieve County. The warning goes until 4:30. We've been tracking it now for a while, Steve.
And the rotation is going to be east now of Park Hills and Deloge and Leadington. It's really crossing into, be right around here, crossing into St. Genevieve County is at Hurryville and Ogborn. We haven't mentioned Hurryville yet. You're in the path of this storm. It's on you right now. We need you inside, down in the basement. If you don't have a basement, you have a walkout basement. Think about putting yourself in an interior room where you're putting as many walls between you and the outside. If you have heard me say that over and over and over again, it's because we've been on the air for quite a while. And when it gets to your town, or maybe some people are just tuning in because they heard the sirens going off and they ran inside, turned on Channel 4, we need to be there for them, let them know exactly what to do. So again, especially if you don't have a basement, sometimes you hesitate. Just get down to that lowest level, put as many walls between you and the outside, and try and stay away from windows. You can watch us live streaming here on the KMOV smartphone app. You can grab your smartphone, your tablet. We're going to be here. What you're watching right now on TV, you can watch on the app. So while you're down there, I'll let you know what's happening. I'll let you know when you have the all clear. If you are in Park Hills, no all clear yet. You're getting hit with hail, large hail. You can probably hear it, and you probably know that. You don't need me to tell you that. But I want to let you know that just because the rotation has passed to the east, if you're in Park Hills, you're just getting hammered right now. So that's just not Park Hills. There's other small towns around there. Leadington just down to the south, Deloge to the northwest, Hiley Heights. So up and down 67 there. I want you to please be very careful, even though I'm telling you that the rotation's moving east. You have that hail. If you're in Ogborn, you're under the gun for that potential tornado. If you're in Farmington, so far it looks like you're dodging this one. Rotation right here slides down into St. Genevieve County and then eventually across Highway 32. So in Farmington, might just miss this southern flank of this little area of rain is what I need to watch. When we get new radar updates, does that go a little farther south or push a little more southeast? So we'll be keeping a close eye on that. You can also turn up the volume on your TV, head down to the basement if you are in that Ogborn and Hurryville area, and I'll walk you through this. I mentioned this earlier in Potosi area a long time ago, you're in the clear, but Bonne Terre, you're in the clear. Just play it safe because you still have rain. You probably still have some small hail, and if there is any damage in Bonne Terre, like some down power lines, you don't want to be walking across that or touching or going anywhere near that. We have not heard of any damage in Bonne Terre. All the damage reports came out of Potosi. Here's the hail tracker, and you'll notice the largest hail threat here is now to the southeast of Bonne Terre, so that's why I'm mentioning that you're in the clear. When I say in the clear, I'm talking about the largest hail is gone, the rotation is gone, it is still raining, there's still thunder and lightning. That presents its own danger, but I at least want you to know the reason why you ran to the basement was because of the rotation and the tornado threat. That has passed on. If you're in that extreme western part of St. Genevieve County, this threat's coming your way. It's over Ogborn right now. There's a radar update still staying to the north of Farmington. This section of the storm that slides down here, if you're in Farmington, while that comes your way, there's no rotation out of that right now. All the rotation is right in here. In fact, what we're seeing, Meg and I are on the same page. She's drawing it as I'm thinking it. This is the inflow. So this is air, warm, humid air that's flying right up into the storm, circling around. And as it circulates, that's a supercell thunderstorm. That's just a thunderstorm that has a persistent rotating updraft to it. So it's going up and rotating. those storms can rotate above you and never produce a tornado. And then sometimes when you have the real strong winds on the backside here, that tightens up the rotation and it creates a tornado on the ground. We don't have the technology or the science to tell the difference between a storm that's rotating above you or one that's down on the ground unless we have eyes on the ground that have told us, or if there's just such a strong signature in radar. We don't have either of those right now, but we do have a radar signature that tells us this could be putting down a tornado now or at any moment. And Meg's over here with some new information.
Oh, I've got somebody I want you to talk with on the phone right now. This is Chris Richards. He's the publisher of the Independent Journal. Now, that's the building that we talked about in Potosi,
right?
where the roof collapsed. We had employees taking shelter. Chris Richards, publisher, is on the phone. Do we have him on the phone, Steve?
Chris, this is meteorologist Steve Templeton over at Channel 4. We appreciate you taking some time to tell us what happened at the Independent Journal out there in Potosi. What kind of damage have you seen?
Well, I tell you, the damage is really varied, and there's just a lot of it. We basically locked the front door because we couldn't hold them closed, and we had wind going down the street. We had pieces of roof going down the street, all kinds of debris, and nothing was touching the ground. Our neighbor, I don't know what's happened to our building because I haven't actually been able to even get outside yet, but our neighbor lost his roof. We all have adjoining buildings here on High Street. It's the old downtown area. And out our front door, if you go out our front door to the sidewalk, we have roof down the entire length of our sidewalk. We've got broken windows. We had 3.5 inches of rain yesterday, measured locally, and we actually had some flash flooding. And what happened with this is we also got torrential rains with this thing, and we actually have a river that's going across High Street, which is 8 Highway. And it's running so fast that it's actually running into the building down at the bottom of our hill right here.
And you're getting pounded right now with more rain as we speak.
Well, we've had torrential rains. We just got done with a little hailstorm, and it was smaller hail as far as pea size or so. Good. And I've had reports of trees down all over the place. We've got one of our girls that work here actually was gone. She gets off early today, and she was trying to make it back to the building, and she can't find a street where she can get back to us.
So is it your actual building that has the roof off, or is it that your neighbor's
No, it's our neighbors.
Neighbor.
It's our neighbors. It's adjoining building that's to our west, and he lost huge pieces. We've got a piece of roof that's out our front door that's probably about a 12 by 12 or 14 by 14 piece.
Wow.
So
is everyone okay in that adjoining building?
Okay, as far as I know, the sirens did go off ahead of time. The people were able to be warned somewhat. We did lose electric really pretty quick, and we've got windows broken on High Street. I know that I had people tell me that there are trees down around a lot of the commercial area here, and we haven't been out farther than that, to be honest, because there was so much wind and so much rain that followed that storm.
You said something interesting, that you were trying to close the doors. It sounded like you were trying to get to safe shelter, trying to close the door. And what did you feel, the wind trying to rip it away from you and open it? What was that like?
We have double doors that open to the street, and we actually had to pull them closed, and we locked them so that they would stay closed because it was pulling the air out of the building. We actually have a 2-story building. We actually headed to the basement, and I told the girl that was with me, I said, stay away from the windows, and we've got to ride this out. And I've never seen. We've been on High Street. Our family's had the newspaper since the 40s, and I grew up here, and I've never seen the wind blow as hard as it did 20 minutes ago.
And we don't have any confirmation of tornado other than the fact that the radar was strongly suggesting it, and we have damage. Did you see anything, funnel cloud, anything like that, or were you too busy getting to safety?
Honestly, whenever we watched it build, my son was actually supposed to have a tennis match, and they were at the sports complex, which is just to the west edge of town. And I was looking that way because that's where the storm was coming from. And we had, just major lightning, and it was just on us really quick once it finally decided it was going to blow. We had wind blowing to it for a good while. The flags were actually blowing to the storm, and then they just switched, and then it started going north, and then we had the storm. It was quick.
I'll tell you, Chris, we're sitting here in St. Louis looking at radar, and we're doing the best we can. In fact, we were on the air before it touched down and got to Potosi. But we don't know for sure if it was tornadic damage. But I got to tell you, the stuff you're telling me is leading me to think strongly that it was. One, you said you saw the winds switch directions in the flag. And two, you felt like a suction of the air, and you had to pull the doors closed like the air was trying to suck the doors open.
Oh,